Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. Billings police asking for the public's help tonight, finding a missing 13-year-old girl who is developmentally delayed and has been missing since this morning. Now, there is concern for the safety of Deanna Price. She was last seen in the 2400 block of Colton Boulevard around 5 a.m. this morning. She's 5 feet 3 inches tall, 111 pounds, with long dark brown hair and brown eyes, and was wearing pajamas and a brown leather coat. Again, she is developmentally delayed and is considered at risk. Deanna was last seen with her iPod and earbuds. If you have any information on her whereabouts, you're asked to call police at 657-8200. Also, we have just learned in the last hour that the body of a Billings man who has been missing since last month has been found in the Clark Fork River in Mineral County. According to the Mineral County Sheriff's Office, 35-year-old Jacob Hogsett of Billings was reported missing on March 6th after reportedly being seen around Kalispell and Superior. His vehicle was located several days later near a residence in the Tarkio area. Hogsett's body was found in the Clark Fork River after a search of that area. The Mineral County Sheriff's Office reports it appears that Hogsett had fallen off a cliff. His body has been sent to the Montana Crime Lab for an autopsy. We are beginning an Easter weekend that will be unlike any that we've known. Churches will be empty as people stay home and keep their distance. This as the number of coronavirus cases and deaths rises by the thousands. This is video of freshly dug trenches on Hart Island, New York City's 150-year-old public cemetery. Morgue space in the city is running low in that city as thousands succumb to COVID-19. The death toll in the U.S. now more than 18,000, one of the deadliest weeks in American history. Well, as the battle to slow the spread of the coronavirus continues, President Trump is wishing Americans a happy Easter, even if they have to celebrate virtually. The president says he would like to see the U.S. open back up sometime next month, but new projections indicate the country could see a spike if stay-at-home orders are lifted too soon. Natalie Brand reports from the White House.
The White House Coronavirus Task Force celebrated progress this week.
You can see for the first time that in the United States we're starting to level on the logarithmic phase like Italy did about a week ago. And so this gives us great heart.
But officials urge continued vigilance and caution, saying some areas could still see a surge in cases.
This is not the time to feel that since we have made such important advance in the sense of success of the mitigation, that we need to be pulling back at all.
The president also announced he's setting up a second task force comprised of business leaders and doctors to work on opening up the country.
We're looking at a date. We hope we're going to be able to fulfill a certain date, but we're not doing anything until we know that this country is going to be healthy.
While some White House advisors have indicated they'd like to see the economy reopen next month, health experts have said widespread testing will be key to returning to normal.
The issue is to build a testing strategy that speaks to our strengths of laser focusing a strategic approach to testing when we know what our volumes are and they increase every day.
Surgeon General Jerome Adams talked about steps the administration is taking to help communities of color disproportionately impacted by the coronavirus.
I need you to know you are not helpless. And it's even more important that in communities of color, we adhere to the task force guidelines to slow the spread.
And as millions of Americans face unemployment, some food banks have been flooded. The administration says stimulus payments will start going out next week, and Senator Chuck Schumer says he and Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin plan talks to try and reach a bipartisan deal on more emergency relief. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
More than 100,000 people have now been killed by the coronavirus worldwide. The disease has also been devastating to American businesses. As of today, independent contractors and self-employed individuals can apply for loans under the Small Business Administration's Paycheck Protection Program. It's all part of that $2 trillion CARES Act passed by Congress. Those loans are proving so popular that the SBA has been buried in applications, delaying the entire process. One senator describing it as a bureaucratic train wreck. Billings Baker Mike Seppala says in this case the SBA is writing the rules as it goes.
In 2008, they came out with a disaster program. It took them about 7 months to come up with the rules on that. And they wrote these rules in a week. The initial set of these rules in a week. That's why it keeps changing, but they actually have done a pretty good job of getting the information out. And it's definitely put a lot of pressure on the banks, but the banks, especially the community banks, have risen to the challenge.
The PPP loans can be used to cover payroll costs, rent, and utilities over an 8-week period. For independent contractors, that means wages, commissions, income, or earnings from self-employment. And just tonight, Yellowstone Bank announced that they have closed on 211 loans for small businesses around Montana. Those loans amount to more than $34 million given to small businesses since last Friday. Well, the $2 trillion Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, or CARES Act, impacts all Americans in some form. The Montana Ag Network's Lane Nordland shares how the relief funding will aid agriculture.
Thursday, President Trump, in a tweet and during a coronavirus task force press conference, discussed how his administration will be sending financial relief to the nation's farmers and ranchers who have all been impacted by COVID-19.
You see what's happened. The farmers got hurt very badly by all of this. People are eating less from the standpoint that there's no restaurants are open, no businesses are open, no hotels are open. They'll start to come back, but we're going to be helping out our farmers.
The CARES Act includes $49 billion, or just under 2.5% of the $2 trillion measure for agriculture-related provisions. The act provides a total of $24.6 billion, or 50% of the total ag funding for domestic food programs like SNAP and child nutrition programs. Funding specifically for production agriculture includes the Commodity Credit Corporation, which bolsters the commodity and income support programs, was replenished with $14 billion. Add that to current funds on hand, the CCC will have $24 billion to assist producers. In addition, there is also $9.5 billion in direct assistance for producers available.
Then they set aside $9.5 billion for livestock and farmers market type things, but primarily livestock, which normally doesn't qualify for any of the commodity relief plans. We just look forward to that money coming. Of course, we just want markets that are fair. We don't necessarily need government money, but we do need some help right now because things are so upside down.
Just how will that funding be allocated? Agriculture groups have all weighed in on the eligibility criteria for the funding they would like to see, but it's expected that early next week, USDA will announce the final details. Reporting, Lane Nordland, MTN News.
All right, thank you, Lane. This would normally be a heavy travel weekend across Montana, but we are in anything but normal times. Since Governor Steve Bullock issued a stay-at-home order, there's been little travel across or in and out of the state, but now one Montana county is ramping up that directive even further. A 14-day quarantine is now in effect if you travel into Bighorn County. The county public health officer issued that order today. The order requires a 14-day self-quarantine for non-work-related travel by non-residents. Residents who return to Bighorn County must wear a mask, practice social distancing, and check their temperature twice a day during a 14-day period. Essential and non-essential gatherings are limited to 10 people. Essential gatherings do include funerals, weddings, and religious services. The Crow and Northern Cheyenne reservations are also included in that county order.
The two reservations are within the boundaries of the county, so this is all related to the whole of Bighorn County. So if they come into Hardin to go shopping, they're still within Bighorn County. But we are asking all of our residents to take precautions. We consider them both within the county for this purpose.
Bighorn County Attorney Jay Harris tells Q2 that this order is under legal review to determine its enforceability. The actual order states this applies to someone who intends to stay in Bighorn County more than 24 hours. All of this on the same day that Bighorn County reported its first confirmed COVID-19 case. Well, the total confirmed cases across Montana reached 365 by this morning. That's an increase of 11 since yesterday's official report. The state now reporting numbers just once a day. It's now been 4 weeks since the first confirmed Montana case. That was back on Friday, March 13th. Toole County, one of Montana's hot spots, now ranks 7th in the nation per capita with its 18 cases. Yellowstone County reached 55 cases late this morning, and Gallatin County 134. Tonight there are currently 29 people hospitalized in the state. Now turning to meteorologist Ed McIntosh. A beautiful day today, Ed. But now snow and cold heads our way, huh?
That's right. Showers are starting to move into the northern portion of the state. So as we get through the overnight hours and head into tomorrow, rain will switch over to snow, and we could see a substantial amount, especially on the north and east facing mountain slopes. Some areas could see a foot to 2 feet of new snow. That's why we have higher numbers there around areas like Red Lodge, where we could see it push up against the mountain slopes. Sheridan, maybe not that much in town, but certainly up into the higher elevations. So as we get through the overnight hours of tonight, and especially into tomorrow morning, you have some wet roadways, but the temperatures will actually just hold steady or drop through the day tomorrow, and that could mean some icy roads and then snow over the top, causing some serious travel concerns by tomorrow evening. Forecast details coming up.
All right, thank you, Ed. COVID-19 concerns and the stay-at-home order hitting businesses everywhere, including car dealerships. Some dealerships in Billings are taking this opportunity to help customers get into the vehicle they need without the financial burden. Now, Lithia Dodge in Billings has been trying to make it as convenient as possible for their customers and offering remote test drives where a vehicle is dropped off at the customer's location, completely sanitized before being driven. The program also involves no payments for up to 6 months on new vehicles.
You know, we had a young couple in here who got laid off, but they still have a car. They have a family. They need to get their kids around. So we were able to get their payments out for 6 months with no car payment. That was a circumstance that we kind of contributed a little bit on our end, and the bank offered some good programs where they pushed the payment out 90 days. And then all of a sudden you got a family who has a car, and they got into a new car, you know, that's safer. And really that's probably the best thing that's come out of this is kind of the dealership, the manufacturer, the banks all coming together to push those payments out, or to get somebody who might have been in a high interest loan before, now get into a safe new car with 0% interest.
And Saylor tells us that in order to keep with social distancing regulations, virtual walkthroughs of the cars can be seen online, and the whole buying process besides the test drive can be done from home. Still to come on the 10 o'clock news, Zoom, once a communication option, has now become a necessity for many in the working world. We're going to dive into this new normal. Plus, in need of some fine dining, well, you can still experience that at home. We're going to tell you how. And in sports, the future of the Billings Mustangs, like many minor league baseball teams, very much up in the air right now. Scott will fill you in on the latest.
You're watching MTN News with Janelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.